It was a crime that shook Australia to its core. A man murdered, his body desecrated in a way that defied belief. Katherine Knight, the perpetrator, skinned her partner and cooked his remains, setting a table for his children. This wasn't fiction, it was a chilling reality. What drives someone to such horror? To understand, we must look back at Katherine's life. Her story is one of escalating violence, ignored warnings, and a darkness that consumed everything. Aberdeen, a town built on simplicity, was shattered by this act. The crime forced everyone to question how well they knew their neighbors. Katherine's name became synonymous with true crime infamy. This wasn't just a murder, it was a ritualistic act of control. The public's imagination was captured by the sheer brutality, ensuring the story would never be forgotten. How did it come to this? Let's delve into the past to find out. Katherine Knight's life began in turmoil, her earliest memories shaped by chaos and fear. Born in 1955 in the small, isolated town of Aberdeen, New South Wales, she was thrust into a world where violence was as common as the red dust that settled on the windowsills. Growing up in a violent household in Aberdeen, Katherine was surrounded by constant arguments and physical altercations. Her parents' relationship was fraught with tension, and the walls of their modest home echoed with shouting and slammed doors. Conflict was her norm, and violence became her language. As a child, she learned quickly that anger was a tool for survival, a way to assert control in a world that felt unpredictable and unsafe. Her temper was notorious even as a child. Teachers and classmates alike were wary of her sudden outbursts, and she developed a reputation for lashing out at anyone who crossed her. When she began working at the local abattoir as a teenager, she found a strange sense of belonging. The repetitive, brutal work of slaughtering animals seemed to mirror the violence she had always known. Here, she honed her skills with knives, a proficiency that would later haunt her story and those around her. Her personal life was a series of volatile relationships, marked by jealousy and aggression. Katherine struggled to form healthy connections, often sabotaging any chance at happiness with her unpredictable moods and fierce possessiveness. Her first marriage to David Kellett was stormy, with incidents of violence that were alarming. Friends and family watched in disbelief as their union quickly descended into chaos, with Katherine often the aggressor. In a moment of chilling rage, she once left their infant daughter on a railway line, only minutes before a train was due. The baby was rescued just in time, but the act left a permanent scar on those who witnessed it. Each relationship followed a pattern: passion, jealousy, and violence. Katherine's partners were drawn in by her intensity, only to find themselves trapped in a cycle of fear and control. With David Saunders, she escalated further, killing his puppy in anger as a twisted warning of what she was capable of. Her cruelty extended beyond people, leaving a trail of trauma in her wake. These were not mere warning signs, they were alarms, blaring for anyone willing to listen. Neighbors whispered, and police were called more than once, but the cycle continued. Her partners bore the brunt of her growing darkness, often left physically and emotionally battered. Many would leave, but the scars remained. Each act was a rehearsal for the ultimate violence she would commit. The knives she once used for work became symbols of her rage, always within reach, always a threat. The community saw the signs, but the darkness within her continued to grow. Whispers turned to fear, and yet no one could predict just how far Katherine Knight would go. Katherine's life was a ticking time bomb waiting to explode, a storm gathering on the horizon, destined to leave devastation in its wake. John Price, a well-liked man in Aberdeen, was known for his kindness and gentle nature. He had a reputation for being a reliable friend and a loving father. His life in the small rural town was peaceful, and he was content with the simple pleasures it offered. When he met Katherine Knight, he saw potential for happiness. Katherine, with her vibrant personality, seemed to bring a new energy into his life. They quickly became a couple, and their relationship began with promise. They moved in together, and for a while it seemed like a fresh start for both of them. John was hopeful that this new chapter would bring lasting joy. However, Katherine's possessiveness soon surfaced. She began to show signs of jealousy and control, which caught John off guard. He, a gentle soul, was unprepared for the storm that followed. The once peaceful home became a place of tension and unease. Katherine's jealousy and need for control began to unravel their life together. Friends warned John of Katherine's dark side, but he stayed, perhaps believing he could manage her. He underestimated the depth of her issues, believing her past was behind her. The relationship was a collision of John's stability and Katherine's volatility. The peace of their new beginning was already fraying. Katherine's fury was relentless, and John's attempts to de-escalate were seen as weakness. He was aware of the danger, but remained trapped in a cycle of fear and loyalty. The stage was set for tragedy. As Catherine's darkness loomed ever closer, John's friends urged him to leave, but the complexity of their relationship held him back. The warning signs were clear, but the path to escape was fraught with emotion. The inevitable confrontation was drawing near. John, despite his awareness of the danger, found it difficult to break free from the emotional bonds that tied him to Katherine. He hoped against hope that things would improve, that Catherine's past would not dictate their future. But her past was ever present, woven into her being. The peace of their new beginning was already fraying. Catherine's fury was relentless, and John's attempts to de-escalate were seen as weakness. He was aware of the danger but remained trapped in a cycle of fear and loyalty. The stage was set for tragedy as Catherine's darkness loomed ever closer. John's friends urged him to leave, but the complexity of their relationship held him back. The warning signs were clear, but the path to escape was fraught with emotion. The inevitable confrontation was drawing near. John, despite his awareness of the danger, found it difficult to break free from the emotional bonds that tied him to Katherine. He hoped against hope that things would improve, that Catherine's past would not dictate their future. But her past was ever present, woven into her being. The peace of their new beginning was already fraying. Catherine's fury was relentless, and John's attempts to de-escalate were seen as weakness. He was aware of the danger but remained trapped in a cycle of fear and loyalty. The stage was set for tragedy as Catherine's darkness loomed ever closer. John's friends urged him to leave, but the complexity of their relationship held him back. The warning signs were clear, but the path to escape was fraught with emotion. The inevitable confrontation was drawing near. John, despite his awareness of the danger, found it difficult to break free from the emotional bonds that tied him to Katherine. He hoped against hope that things would improve, that Catherine's past would not dictate their future. But her past was ever present, woven into her being. The peace of their new beginning was already fraying. Catherine's fury was relentless, and John's attempts to de-escalate were seen as weakness. He was aware of the danger but remained trapped in a cycle of fear and loyalty. The stage was set for tragedy as Catherine's darkness loomed ever closer. The cycle of violence in John and Catherine's relationship intensified, growing more volatile with each passing day. What began as heated arguments soon escalated into something far more dangerous, as anger and resentment simmered just beneath the surface. Catherine's jealousy sparked frequent violent arguments that left both of them emotionally drained. Every disagreement seemed to ignite a new fire, and the tension in their home became almost unbearable. Her weapon of choice was often a knife, a tool she knew well and wielded with chilling intent. The threat of violence hung in the air, making every encounter fraught with danger. John lived in constant fear, confiding in friends about the abuse he endured. He felt isolated, unsure of how to escape the situation without making things worse. He was stabbed multiple times, but hesitated to involve the police, afraid of the consequences and the stigma attached to being a male victim of domestic violence. Catherine's aggression was relentless, testing John's limits and pushing him to the edge. Her outbursts were unpredictable, leaving John constantly on guard. She destroyed his belongings, asserting dominance through violence and intimidation. The destruction was not just physical, it was psychological, eroding John's sense of safety and self-worth. Friends warned John of the danger, predicting a tragic end if he stayed. Their concern grew with every new incident, but John struggled to heed their advice. John knew he was in peril but felt trapped by complex emotions: fear, guilt, and a lingering hope that things might change. The emotional turmoil left him paralyzed, unable to make a clean break. The home they shared became a prison, spiraling out of control as chaos and violence became the new normal. Every day brought new uncertainty and dread. Catherine's fury was unpredictable, and John's attempts to leave were thwarted by her threats and emotional manipulation. Escape seemed impossible. The violence was escalating, and John's friends feared for his life. They urged him to seek help, but the cycle of abuse was difficult to break. The situation was dire, and the warnings were clear. Every sign pointed to disaster, yet John remained caught in the web of fear and loyalty. John's struggle to escape was a battle against fear and loyalty, torn between the hope for change and the reality of danger. Each attempt to leave was met with new obstacles. The cycle of rage was reaching a breaking point, with every confrontation more explosive than the last. The tension was unbearable, and something had to give. The tragic outcome seemed inevitable as the pattern of violence spiraled toward its devastating conclusion. February 2000 marked the breaking point for John Price. He decided to end the relationship, seeking safety from Katherine's control. Katherine's reaction to rejection was explosive, her fury unmatched. John sought a restraining order, fearing for his life. Despite legal measures, Katherine continued to harass him. On the day of the murder, John felt a sense of relief, believing it was truly over. But Katherine had other plans, ignoring the restraining order. That night, she entered his home with a butcher's knife. John was asleep, unaware of the danger looming over him. Katherine's final act was about to unfold. The restraining order was just a piece of paper to her. Armed with a knife, she was ready to execute her plan. John's belief in safety was shattered as Katherine stood over him. The stage was set for the ultimate act of violence. The night would end in tragedy, as Katherine's darkness consumed everything. The events of that night were a nightmare come to life. Katherine attacked John as he slept, sparking a desperate struggle. Blood evidence told a story of a violent fight for survival. John, caught off guard, fought valiantly but in vain. He was stabbed 37 times, a frenzied assault of pure rage. Katherine's knowledge of anatomy made the attack methodical. John's life ended in the hallway, his efforts to escape futile. But Katherine's horror didn't end with his death. She skinned him, hanging his skin as a grotesque trophy. Her actions elevated the crime to unspeakable horror. She cooked his head, preparing a meal for his children. The ultimate act of psychological cruelty was set in motion. Katherine's message of power was clear and chilling. The crime was a calculated act of terror and defilement. The night ended with a scene of unimaginable horror. The next morning, John's absence at work raised alarms. A co-worker's visit to his home revealed the horror within. Police arrived to a scene of unimaginable brutality. Katherine was arrested, the evidence against her overwhelming. At trial, the prosecution laid bare the chilling details. Katherine's violent past and calculated actions were exposed. The defense's arguments of psychological trauma fell flat. The trial captivated the nation, the verdict inevitable. Katherine pleaded guilty, the sentence awaited. Katherine Knight's sentencing was a landmark moment. Justice O'Keefe faced a crime of extreme brutality. Katherine was sentenced to life without parole, a first for an Australian woman. The judge's decision reflected the gravity of her actions. The public reaction was one of relief and approval. The sentence was seen as just and necessary. For John's family, it offered a measure of closure. Katherine remains in prison, her story a chilling benchmark. Her life will end behind bars, a fitting end for her cruelty. Katherine Knight's story is a reminder of horrors in ordinary places. It's a tale of a man trapped by a woman's consuming rage. The case forces us to confront the reality of real-life monsters. These stories serve as cautionary tales highlighting warning signs. John Price's story compels us to listen and act on cries for help. True crime explores the darkest corners of human nature. Each case offers lessons to prevent future tragedies. Katherine's story is one of many, with more mysteries to explore. Follow our channel for more stories that delve into the shadows.